Listen to this, man. He got some good news for you. Hey, man, listen. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house. Doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. The doctor is in the house. If you have a pain, call a doctor. If you have a sprain, call a doctor. Let the doctor know what you're going through. Let him tell you what's good for you, because the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Tell me what's happening now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in the house. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ron, host of Dr. Ron, Unfiltered, Uncensored. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for making this program one of the top 50 doctors' podcasts on the web. This program contains general medical information. The medical information heard on this program is not advice and should not be treated as such. You are encouraged to confirm any information obtained from this program with other sources and review all information regarding any medical condition or treatment with your physician. And I do welcome you with an attitude of gratitude, because we know grateful people are happier, less depressed, less stressed, and more satisfied with their lives and their social relationships. And I still say, stay positive. We're going to get through this. Hopefully, we're turning a corner now. The COVID scam is just about done, though they will try and bring it back. So I just want to reiterate that there's a website called FeedSpot, FeedSpot, FeedSpot Doctor Podcast. And we were sent an emails giving us a high five for our contribution to be in the most comprehensive list of top 50 doctor podcasts on the internet. And we are really grateful that they listened to our program and put us in that category. So thank you, FeedSpot. Ladies and gentlemen, look, today our topic is going to be about sex, walking, and dancing. Well, somewhat on that. We'll have Dr. T monitor our comments. But I just want to catch up on a few things. If you look at the topics that most physician podcasts have at the present time, you'll see a lot on business, about happiness in the practice, how to have more time off, and a host of other topics. But you'll infrequently see ones that talk about getting to the root of the problem, finding out what the problem really is, rather than just a pill for every ill and putting Band-Aids on everything. And if you, and it seems like a lot of our topics over the past couple of months are really making the headlines. I talked about sunscreens. So what do I see recently? This blurb on the internet: sunscreens and spray bottles promoted as convenient can be even more harmful, particularly because the products affect innocent bystanders. Inhalation is associated with increased exposure of the brain to zinc nanoparticles. Because of the olfactory nerves in our nose, they can be directly transported to the brain. Inhaled nanoparticles can also cause lung damage, which allows the nanoparticles to travel through your blood to all the tissues and all the organs, creating damage in your brain, lungs, blood, lymph nodes, liver, kidney, spleen. spray sunscreens. We talked about that. It is carried by the wind and can just about contaminate everyone in the area. So we know what happens with sunscreens, right? As the use of sunscreens went up, the incidence of melanoma did not go down. So now we're going to give people cancers that are around us if we use the spray sunscreens. I talked a week or so ago about PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. The shocking revelations this past 2 weeks show that these drugs like Zantac and Prozac that are Prelosic that are over the counter can actually increase H. pylori in people that use them long term. H. pylori is an infection that causes ulcers. They can also increase mortality rates among long term users. You die sooner. Studies show that the risk of gastric cancer is increased 43% in proton pump inhibitor users. The risk of gastric cancer increases with the dose and the duration. Many patients continue to progress to gastric cancer even after successful H. pylori eradication. In other words, there's a series of antibiotics that are used to treat H. pylori. But even after you get rid of it, if you've been a long-term user, you still have a chance of getting a gastric cancer. Long-term proton pump inhibitor use is associated with a 2.4, almost 2.5-fold increase in gastric cancer risk in those patients that have this H. pylori infection who received the therapy for it. Remember, I've been preaching for 2 years. You have to have a superior interior and you have to have a good relationship with your gut bacteria. They keep us healthy. What else have we talked about that's made the news lately? Okay, about another one on reflux drugs that I just talked about. They can lead to potential deadly infections, especially pneumonia, nutritional deficiencies due to absorption issues, bone loss, including bone breaks and fractures, dementia, and kidney disease. And this article said that was just the short list. And remember, if you try and get off of them, you need your healthcare provider to help you because of the rebound. You may think, well, I really need them because I'm getting worse now off them, but not necessarily so. It's a rebound from being on the drugs too long. There's some other serious conditions. I mean, gastric cancer is serious, but there's other ones. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, a non-curable form of lung disease that gets so bad that you can't transfer oxygen into your blood. Barrett's esophagus, which is a severe form of reflux. So please don't self-medicate. Short term, couple days, I don't have a problem with that. But people are on these drugs for 6 months, a year, 2 years. And now, finally mainstream is starting to pick this up and reporting on it. All right, I'm not going to get back into this, but I did talk about deglycerized licorice when we talked about PPIs. It's a special kind of licorice. The DG is for deglycerinated, which means a potentially harmful compound called glycerin has been removed. But just get the idea that what we've been talking about is serious issues here, ladies and gentlemen. And it's really systemic because even every person in the city of Washington is bringing down this country. And we all seem to be going about our business right now. But it worries me, and it should worry you. We should all be aware of what's happening. And I can see, how you can get down because there's not many safe places for you to go to these days. Not many places where you can rely on information. The old trusted sources, JAMA, British Medical Journal, Lancet, can't be trusted anymore. This past 2 years, they've published peer-reviewed studies which have been false. So my advice is if you find a truth teller, hang on to them while they still have the tools to speak before they're censored. A lot of you notice I'm no longer on YouTube. I post everything on Rumble because YouTube, if I mentioned ozone or anything that was natural, they knocked it off. So it really is important that you be the CEO of your own body and take control of your health and find truth tellers. And when you find them, follow them. And by the way, speaking about truth tellers, I have I'm on Telegram as Doc Ron Unfiltered. And I bring a lot of those truth tellers in my blog there, Doc Ron Unfiltered. So some other things I want to get off my chest while we're here. This CDC that's been in the spotlight ever since the scam of the demic. It's not an independent agency, ladies and gentlemen. It's a vaccine company. They are listed on Dun & Bradstreet. The CDC owns over 20 vaccine patents. It sells about $4.6 billion of vaccines every year. So is there any chance they could be independent thinkers? RFK Jr. has studied them extensively. They are not independent. They're a government organization to make money. We talked about cellular phones. Again, latest studies confirm what the cellular phone corporations do not want you to know. Even casual use of a cell phone can cause damage to DNA in sensitive areas of the brain. The study was done by Dr. Henry Lai at the University of Washington. He showed that even low levels of exposure to radio frequency, electromagnetic fields, radio frequency, cause DNA damage to brain cells. Now, he did it in rats, resulting in loss of short and long-term memory and slower learning. You think that might be something that might interest you in your own health, in your own brain? That study concluded that EMF exposure produced no effect for a few minutes. Then the microbial destruction started to cascade. In other words, maybe for 1 or 2 minutes, nothing bad. But then you really get into trouble. Attorney Brent Wisner told Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that the drug makers knew that Zantac caused cancer, but sold it anyway for over 40 years. Isn't that great? Isn't that just what you want to hear? You cannot believe anyone. You don't even believe me. Check it all out. Medicine today is corrupted by the big pharmaceutical companies, which suppress negative results. If something doesn't look good with the drug they want to push, they don't even show you the study. And they hide adverse effects. Surprisingly enough, this was stated in a British Medical Journal article. Well, that's because they have Peter Deutsch on their board, I guess. So I'm telling you all of this because I want you to take control of your health. Did you know that they're pushing the flu vaccine? It's only good for 16% of cases. Influenza vaccine effectiveness estimated at 16%. This is from an interim report of March 11th, 2022 from the U.S. Center of Disease Control and Prevention, which sells the vaccine. A not statistically significant number. So they want us to take a poison, this drug that has mercury and God knows what else in it, and we'll go through that another time. It has a lot of additives in that vaccine. 16% effective. And how about the booster shot for the Chinese virus? That's not much more encouraging, ladies and gentlemen. The primary series, the effect wore off in a few months. Now the boosters stop being effective after a 4-month period or so. And the CDC admits that the shots immediately lose their effectiveness after a certain time. So is this like planned obsolescence so that we all can get a shot every 4 months? Y'all. It's very discouraging, ladies and gentlemen. Please be in charge of your own body. I talked about artificial sweeteners, okay? March 2022 study shows a link between artificial sweeteners and cancer. Now, how about that? Is number one cause of death? Cancer, EMFs, proton pump inhibitors, artificial sweeteners, all the plasticizers and endocrine disruptors we talk about. And you know what? People that use artificial sweeteners are no thinner. Actually, they're heavier. And they hide them in foods you don't even think about. Pedialyte, Greek yogurt, granola cereal, non-diet ginger ale, microwave kettle popcorn. And as I told you when I had my podcast on artificial sweeteners, they destroy your beneficial bacteria, so you no longer have a superior interior and your immunity decreases. And they're also, these sweeteners are associated with depression, headaches, mood changes. But how about the risk of cancer? But evidence is showing that not only you get cancer, but you're getting heavier because of these products. I have to catch my breath because I'm going to explode. All right, so everything we've been talking about in our podcast, it looks like it's coming true and people are talking about it and writing about it. But I'm really upset with the artificial sweeteners and cancer. And these things are found in most processed foods. Diet Snapple. I'm looking at a list here. Nestle's mini marshmallows. Breyers, some kind of forms of Breyers ice cream. But this article goes on to say that some staples that you thought were sweetened with sugar may also have artificial sweeteners also, like ketchup, Thomas's whole grain English muffins. Almost every food labeled light, L-I-G-H-T, L-I-T-E, or low calorie comes with a side order of artificial sweeteners. The side order is built into the food. Salad dressings. I mean, really difficult, but you get the idea. You have to be in control and have to read the labels. So we have sweeteners linked to cancer, obesity, type 2 diabetes, the trifecta. So 0 calories do not mean it has no effect on your health, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to be in control, like some people I know, well, here you go. Start out with this. Okay, so today I did want to talk a little bit about exercise because regular exercise, like having sex and dancing, could be miracle cures just staring us in the face. A lot of this work was done in Britain. The doctors concluded, get this, 30 minutes of exercise, which included sex, walking, and dancing, performed 5 times per week, could dramatically lower our risk of contracting cancer, dementia, heart disease, and diabetes. And aren't they the diseases that most people are being treated for today? The study said that the risk of getting heart disease would be slashed by up to 40%, strokes and dementia by 30%, breast cancer by 25%, bowel cancer rates would be cut in half. A lifestyle change does not require drugs. You don't have to run. You could walk. You must stay active. You must get your meat off the seat, ladies and gentlemen. And gentlemen, do not take the advice of your healthcare provider if he says your testosterone levels are normal for your age. You don't want them normal for your age. You want them normal for a 30 to 40-year-old because men who have testosterone or androgen deficiency had their lives changed with just a 2% testosterone solution. They had more energy, more sex drive, and no adverse effects. This came from the University of Western Ontario in London. And it was published in a peer-reviewed journal, Journal of Urology. Okay, so if you have a lower limit of testosterone, talk with your healthcare provider about getting some testosterone replacement. And other studies have confirmed this. And a study out of Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, say this type of therapy, this testosterone, is safe. But you have to be followed up and you have to be treated by a healthcare professional that knows about hormone replacement. And you want your levels compared to men who are age 40 and younger. Okay, so it's all part of staying healthy and active as we age. It doesn't have to be a number. You can stay younger by taking the proper precautions. So there is a lot of interest in testosterone replacement right now. There are more and more articles showing that it is safe, but it has to be done properly, and you have to be monitored with the proper blood test so you do not get too much of an estrogen product called estradiol. But that can all be taken care of. So at the end of this one study, with 558 participants that were average age of 55 years, 66% continued active and had their testosterone levels when their testosterone levels were normal. They had better scores on sexual arousal and every other test that they had. So if a gent goes, if you're not feeling quite up to snuff, your energy levels are low, you have low sexual interest, yeah, it definitely could be your thyroid. It could be you're depressed, but you have to look into your testosterone levels. Or maybe all of them, because the low testosterone level men are somewhat depressed. And there, your doctor can check out testosterone trials, and a lot of them have been published this year. A big one in February. Okay, but it has to be done properly and under supervision. So testosterone levels, yeah, they decline with age, and they fall out of the optimal range. Okay, there's a big difference between being optimal and normal. My opinion is you do not want to be normal for your age. You want to be optimal. You want youthful levels of hormones. And you need someone to monitor you, because you have to use certain supplements too along with it, like zinc and certain sea extracts and pomegranate. And if you have conditions that can contribute to low testosterone levels, like increase in body fat if you're really obese, if you have chronic diseases, if you don't eat well, you have poor liver function, if you're on certain medications, that could lower it. Well, if it's the medication is the splinter is the cause, well, you change medications. Doesn't necessarily mean you would need testosterone. You change medications and have it monitored. And of course, endocrine diseases are like a symphony orchestra. The thyroid, the testicles, the pituitary gland, they all work in together in harmony. They all have to be balanced. So comprehensive hormone testing out there, gents. Both free and total testosterone when you get it, okay? And the question always arises, do high testosterone levels increase the risk of prostate cancer? And the answer is, as of this time, no. The scientific literature is not supporting an association between high testosterone levels and an increased risk of prostate cancer. Unless you have prostate cancer or are at a high risk. That's why you have to work with a qualified healthcare provider. And there are natural ways you might want to try, gents, about increasing your testosterone, like pomegranate and cocoa seeds, zinc, DHEA, which is a precursor to testosterone. So you need a healthcare provider. Nettle root, right? You've heard of that. So you can lead a beautiful life, and maybe and some studies are coming out now that your cholesterol levels and everything get better when you start replacing testosterone. And you know what? When you're heavy, you also have a lot of inflammation. And as you take testosterone and feel better and can exercise more, like what we opened the show with, you'll lose those fat cells and you'll decrease your inflammation. So you won't have aging, because inflammation will cause you to age. And there are studies that show that there is an increase in lean body mass and a decrease in fat mass when you start a testosterone treatment program. So the importance of hormone testing, gentlemen. and getting the right testing and getting the right balance. Remember, testosterone is a balance between testosterone and estrogen, and that balance has to be maintained. And your healthcare provider should know what tests to order. Okay, if he or she doesn't know that you need a free testosterone level, a total testosterone level, and an estradiol level, you might want to move on. Just like if you go into a physician's office and their plants are dying, you might want to move on. If you go to a physician and they do not want to answer your questions, you might want to move on. So that's what I got. That's what I have for you today. You know, how to be happy, healthy, horny, and high. And don't forget about exposure to bright light, because that can also increase your testosterone levels and increase your sexual satisfaction. Okay, so if you need that little something, you need to be exposed to the sun or have a light box. Like I forget what it's called, the Juvie red light at 860 nanometers, more or less. Okay, light is really important to women too. You know, I mean, these articles about light and testosterone is for men, but it also affects women's uh, desires and hormone levels. So let's see, maybe we can get that sunshine, huh? It'll be that time of the year. Get that sunshine on your shoulders, huh? Sunshine and sex. Wow, maybe we should write a book. I'll tell you, I got so upset today with seeing all this stuff about the CDC and seeing about the ineffectiveness of the flu shot, the ineffectiveness of the COVID jab. And it all ties in with podcasts that I have done here about, men in name only, because of the testosterone levels that are dropping, the soy products which decrease testosterone in men. You know, most seeds are just little uteruses, little uteri. They have so much estrogen in them. And one of the seeds that has the most estrogen in it is flaxseed. Flaxseed, soybean, and that's what these vegetarian guys are eating now. Their testosterone levels are dropping quickly. So I'm looking at another study. I'm not going to get into this today, but testosterone supplementation reduces heart attack and stroke risk. How about that? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stay positive. We're going to get through this. Um, you need to remember that inflammation is the chronic inflammation causes most, or inflammation itself causes most chronic diseases, and we have to earth. We have to walk on our bare feet. If not, we have to learn how to ground ourselves while being inside. We have to keep our hormones balanced, because hormone balance is associated with health and aging. We have to remember, I'm sorry to say, that medicine is corrupted by the big pharmaceutical companies. They pay for everybody, for everything. Money corrupts. We have to keep our vitamin D levels up, huh? Like we talked about for 2 years. Take vitamin D3 and K2. I was saying between 60 and 80. Now it looks like if you're between 80 and 100 on your D3 blood test, you probably won't even get sick. I mean, you will, but You could, but it will be mild, even the flu. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Dr. Ron, Unfiltered, Uncensored, now in our sixth season, completing at least 428 podcasts. Uh, you can follow us on Podbean, BODBEAN.com, Dr. Ron, Unfiltered, Uncensored. Podpage is a nice website now that's carrying our program. Of course, you can ask Alexa for Dr. Ron, Unfiltered, Uncensored. Google Play, Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio while you're in your car, or iTunes Radio while you're in your car, if there's a, a podcast you're interested in. And the organization FeedSpot that has us listed in the top 50, they have all of our podcasts. So I hope you've learned something today. And that walking and dancing and sex are forms of exercise. Perform 4 times a week or 5 times a week can dramatically lower your risk of cancer, dementia, heart disease, and diabetes. You don't need a doctor. You don't need a drug. It's something you can just do. Okay, thank you again, and we'll have Freddie take us home, and we will see you next week. Have a great day.
Hey everybody, Dr. Ron's finished for the day. I hope you got some good wisdom for what the man had to say. If it's all about good health, he's the man you got to see. He has a lot more answers for you. So tune in next week when the doctor is in the house. Or when the doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. So if you have a pain, call the doctor. If you have a strain, call the doctor. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. See you next week.